And you smell a pumpkin pie. The bear whispers to your ear, oh honey, honey, please come here. 'Cause I want you to hug me, just like that. Please hug pumpkin pie. The bear whispers to your ear, oh honey, honey, please come here. From you, so hug me. I feel a little sad. Hug me. If you like me back, hug me. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. When you see the sun up the sky and then you smell a pumpkin pie, the bear whispers to your ear, oh honey, honey, please come here. 'Cause I want you to hug me, just like that, please hug me. And I will hug you back, hug me. There is a bird that needs a hug from you, so hug me. I feel a little sad, hug me. If you like me back, hug me. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. When you see the sun up the sky and then you smell a pumpkin pie, the bear whispers to your ear, oh honey, honey, please come here. 'Cause I want you to hug me, just like that, please hug me. And I will hug you back, hug me. There is a bird that needs a hug from you, so hug me. I feel a little sad, hug me. If you like me back, hug me. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. When you see the sun up the sky and then you smell a pumpkin pie, the bear whispers to your ear, oh honey, honey, please come here. 'Cause I want you to hug me, just like that, please hug me. And I will hug you back, hug me. There is a bird that needs a hug from you, so hug me. I feel a little sad, hug me. If you like me back, hug me. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. When you see the sun up the sky and then you smell a pumpkin pie, the bear whispers to your ear, oh honey, honey, please come here. 'Cause I want you to hug me, just like that, please hug me. And I will hug you back, hug me. There is a bird that needs a hug from you, so hug me. I feel a little sad, hug me. If you like me back, hug me. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. And everything is gonna be okay. When you see the sun up the sky and then you smell a pumpkin pie, the bear whispers to your ear, oh honey, honey, please come here. 'cause I want you to hug me, just like that, please. Hug me, and I will hug you back. Hug me, there is a bird that needs a hug from you, so hug me. I feel a little sad. Hug me, if you like me back. Hug me, and everything is gonna be.
Hello, my name is Tomasz Kolankiewicz. I'm the artistic director of the Polish Film Festival in Gdynia. And I'm very happy to invite you for the webinars on the production of films for the young audience. I'm very happy to collaborate with the New Horizons, with Kids Film Forum, the major player of the Polish youth cinema. And I made the topic of the youth cinema the main point of the Gdynia industry sessions this year. I have a strong conviction that the Polish film for young audience is on the rise, and for a few years now we are watching more and more productions. In this year's main competition we have one film dedicated to the young audience, to young adults, and so I'm very happy that the Polish film for young audience is growing in the recent years, because there was quite a big setback in the past years. So now I have a feeling that this is a good time to talk about it, and I'm very happy that we can, alongside the Kids Film Forum, we can provide you with these webinars, and I hope that you will be able to make another great productions, and I'm eager to take them under considerations regarding the selection of the Polish Film Festival in Gdynia. Thank you.
Dzień dobry. Hello, everybody. My name is Maciej Jakubczyk, and I'm director of Kino Dzieci, Kids Kino International Film Festival from Warsaw, Poland.
Welcome, I'm Katarzyna Janiak. I'm the project manager of the Kids Kino industry, which is part of the Kids Kino International Film Festival.
Dzień dobry, welcome. I'm Viola Gabrielli, the programmer and executive producer of Kids Kino Industries. And together we are the hosts of this session.
It's a great pleasure to be here in Gdynia, at least in a internet territory of this festival, at Polish Film Festival. Since I'm also a board member of New Horizons, it's a pleasure that we established the Kids Kino, Kino Dzieci, as a platform for children film and youth film in a 360 model, with the festival Kids Kino in September in Warsaw at heart, but also with a distribution program and a number of industry initiatives that are supporting the production of films for children, with Kids Kino Lab as a development program and co-production forum Kids Kino Industry. Actually, since a couple of years, our program has first results, at least in Poland, of films now being made or in production, and the for ages that is in the main competition of Polish Film Festival in Gdynia is Tarapaty 2, so Triple Trouble, and it's an alumni of our development program, Kids Kino Lab.
Kids Kino Industry create a meeting place where European professionals can exchange ideas, experiences, and develop new content for children. We help to connect projects with potential co-producers, distributors, sales agents, broadcasters, and film fans. Our new project, the Kids Kino Industry Talks, every month, online webinars every month, like today, is created to engage and connect the community of creators and commissioners for young audiences content. Our goal is to keep you updated with current topics, situation, and new talents.
The sessions today, it's a great pleasure, first of all, to have a special edition of Kids Kino Industry Talks during the Polish Film Festival. We start with a close-up on China as an important entertainment industry, followed by a panel with Ewa Puczynska, producer of Cold War and Ida in discussion with Leontine Petit of Lemming Film and Moritz Hemminger from Array Media International. And they will discuss the question on how to tackle the right balance between art house and family entertainment. We will finish today's lineup with a writing masterclass of Philip Latsepnik, writer of screenplays for several Disney and DreamWorks animated features, including Pocahontas, Mulan, and The Prince of Egypt. But now let's focus on China. We have created a session first to give you an idea how the Chinese children's media industry looks like and understand what's happening right now in China and where are the possibilities for business. So we bring in Chinese producers and a Polish producer and hear more about their experiences on co-production with other countries. And the panel will also explore the scales of how we all can better collaborate with each other. At the end of the session, there will be time for a Q&A. So if you have a question, please use the function on the right-hand side in the chat where you can type in any time your questions. The chat will be open throughout the session, and at the end, we will be able to dedicate time for these questions, and our moderator, Ula Pokazolska, will transfer your questions to our speakers. After the session, there will be also the possibility of unmoderated written chat with the speakers, so the speakers will join you in the chat. So please stay tuned. Now I would like to hand over to our moderator, Katarzyna Syniarska. Katarzyna is head of sales for New Europe Film Sales in Poland. And Katarzyna, I hand over to you now. You have the word, and Katarzyna, please introduce us to our guests for today.
Thank you so much, Viola, for the introduction and inviting me to be a part of this panel. China is an extremely interesting and dynamic market, and I'm happy that we'll have a chance to learn some current facts and insights into the situation at their production and entertainment industry landscape. I'd like to welcome all our expert guests who are Jin Dong, the founder and chairman of Zespa Media based in UK and China, Mama Chen, who's a CCO of WeKids China, Chinese powerhouse and distribution company, Stephen Ching, who's been a long-time collaborator of many European co-productions and also working with the Canadian markets from Agogo Studios based in China, Beijing, and Sofia Yaroshu, a producer from Anim Poland, one of the top animation companies working in the current markets. Now I would like to once again thank you for the participation and introduce our first speaker along with her presentation on the basic facts, creating and numbers on the Chinese entertainment market. Jin, welcome to the conversation. I would just like to tell a few more words about you. Jin is a founder of Zespa Media. Formerly, she worked for BBC World Services, and quite exciting to say that she developed a lot of shows, including China's edition of one of the BBC's key shows, and including Top of the Pops, which is kind of a big thing. So she started high, working with high-profile productions, and from that she developed her own company, plus a sister company that is dealing with more educational content targeted at the Chinese market. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Katarzyna, and hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jin Dong, and we are at Zespa Media Group have been working with international content creator and producer and IP owners for the last 10 years. So we have our independent production house in Beijing, And so we produce primetime shows for Chinese television and online broadcasters. We also in the UK have our setup as a creative and licensing agency representing international IP owners from the Agatha Christie Limited to over 10 international IP creators and art houses. So we work on commercializing their content in China. So in the last 2 years, we've been focusing on children's content as well. We're currently producing a weekly program for Kaku channel, and that's a preschool live action shows. So that's got very good ratings. And we're also increasingly looking at children content in terms of animation, because that has quite tremendous commercial value, not only in China, but worldwide. So today, I'd just like to share with yourselves on some of the facts and figures of China as a market, as well as what works and what we are looking for in this market. So if we could look at some of the overview in terms of the size of the market. One thing that's worth mentioning is about the implementation of the two-child policy. I know it could be a bit strange for the Western world, but as many of you know, China had a one-child policy for many years, and it's only been recently relaxed in 2016. So since then, there's been a baby boom, and with the size of China, very quickly the number of babies have increased in that space, and so we've seen over 14 million new babies being born in the last 3 years. And then it's been estimated that by 2025, the number of children aged 0 to 14 would reach 272 million. So this is a quite staggering figure, and even more staggering is how much their parents are willing to spend on their children. So a past figure show by end of 2018, the value of the children's consumption market. So this is all goods and products and services related to children. So this market is reaching 4.5 trillion yuan. In euro, it's equivalent to 560 billion. And the annual growth from 2018 to the next 2 years is estimated to be 20%. So it's going to be quite a lot of money spent in this space. And in the next slide, we're going to see the value of children's entertainment consumption market in particular. So entertainment, which is very much related to us, content and all the ancillaries. So that number is in 2018 has reached 58 billion euro. So this is also growing with the 30% annual growth rate. And we're going to see the steady growth. But then, of course, the COVID hit, and we're going to see how the figures have changed in the early part of this year. But let me just show you a bit of landscape of the Chinese broadcasting world. So here are the top 6 traditional Chinese children TV channels. So they do have good market share, and they enjoy very steady rating as compared to many other commercial channels, but amongst them, CCTV Children is definitely in the lead. So these are the top 6, and they're all under the local, provincial, or municipal broadcasting system. So in other words, the TV channels are partly owned by the state or the local government, and that's part of the setup of the Chinese TV, traditional TV world. And next, we see the top 3 children online platforms. So they have been steadily taking hold of the whole market, because they are, pay-per-view, or, VOD is very popular, and children like to watch things over and over again. So they enjoy much better ratings, and it's quite easy. It's a lot easier to look at the figure. So again, the figures are mind-boggling, and they're in hundreds of billions of views per year. So again, but most viewed still Peppa Pig, and Peppa Pig is taking the lead, I think, in China and worldwide. But we'll look at other children programs that are very popular. And top 3 online platforms in terms of their monthly active users and paid subscribers are all in hundreds of millions. Next. We could have a look at the COVID period figures. As you know, COVID broke out in China first earlier this year. And actually that helped with the rating because people were all, we had a national lockdown and everyone was at home indoors. And during the Chinese New Year, which is equivalent to Christmas, people, what they did mostly was watching TV and or on their pad or a PC or mobile. So the numbers have all increased. Okay, so the online broadcaster enjoyed a lot more new subscribers as a result. So I'll just show you a few slides of what's popular in China, and hopefully that gives you a visual idea of what children like in China. So these are some of the currently very popular Chinese animations. And Boonie Bear is worth mentioning, probably is #1 in China, and it's been going very successfully in the last 5 to 6 years. So they have rolled out feature films, games, education products, etc. Okay, so internationally was working in China. Peppa Pig is taking a far lead and is doing very well with ratings in billions. And another one I'd like to share is the next one is Om, which is I think #2 currently, but quite far behind Peppa Pig. This I believe was produced by Zappler Lab in the UK. So that is doing very well on the online world. And one quick case study is the early year education animation, and this is education through songs, and they are 3D and with children singing nursery rhymes, and that's very popular, especially during the lockdown days. So because it's quite educational, children can learn English, singing, and some parenting, family dynamic side of the educational elements. So that's been very popular. And also over here, I'd like to mention what is popular in terms of the image. As you can see, that we don't always have to look Chinese, and we could have blue eyes, purple hair, and everything. So I would like to advise to a lot of producers, we don't have to have very Chinese looking. In fact, Chinese children and parents love very big eyes, rounded plum characters, bright colors. So those are the key elements that we need to bear in mind when developing for China. So next, I'd just like to focus a bit more on what China exactly is looking for. As we are, us being a licensing and a creative agency, we are actively looking for content that could work in China. But we are also aware that most of the international producers are unknown in China. So we have to make sure the pitch that we received are either a very well established IP that had already been produced and aired very successfully worldwide, and they're looking for production investment for the next series, or it's a brand new production in development, but they need to be developed by a team and creators who have outstanding award-winning track records. So these are the two kinds we are currently looking for, and because we know they would work. The reason we have such criteria is because our investors in China are mainly 3 kinds. So they're the ones you saw, iQIYI, Youku, Tencent, who are looking to invest into productions. Animation studios, there are some outstanding animation studios in China looking to co-produce, and they underwrite the cost, or they invest in their manpower in kind into your production. And thirdly, our financial institutions who see this as a venture capital investment, and they need plenty of return commercially. So next, we our view and our vision is to develop an IP into a 360 brand that is well established for many years to come, not only in a very successful, very compelling TV series, but also have good potential for merchandise, publishing, toys, gaming, education products and services, and as well as attractions and theme parks. So that is where people want to put money on to in return of a good commercial return in the future. So next, I'd like to quickly touch on what you need to be prepared for if you like to pitch in China, either pitch to us or pitch to Memmen or Stephen here, that you need to prepare. First of all, info deck, very clear information, detailed information about your program and financial plan, how much money you're looking to raise and where you're using it on. And about your team, again, your team needs to be quite outstanding with very good credentials, accolades, and what can you offer in return in investment? Like I mentioned, Chinese broadcaster or investors see this as a venture capital investment. So in other words, you need to be able to offer a share of the whole IP in return. And of course, lastly, what is your plan? And you need to have a global ambition in order for this IP to have full potential. So I know the time is very limited for us to cover everything in China, everything about China. It's a very large and complicated market, hugely competitive. So in order for you to compete with the likes of Warner Group or Disney, you need to have very good stuff. And we are looking for good stuff from people like yourselves. So please do get in touch if you are interested. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jin. Just like 1-2 last questions before I go to the next speaker. As we can see, you said that Chinese market is vast but demanding, and you're looking for very specific kind of content. We can already see that there's not so much space for live action entertainment coming from other countries. It's mostly animation. I would also like to ask you whether you already had experience of working with projects coming from non-English speaking parts of Europe or like not the usual animation countries like France or Scandinavia. Did you ever work with a partner from the region, so Central Eastern Europe so far?
No, we haven't. I have to be honest, we have not. I mean, we're based in the UK the last 10 years, so we're primarily focusing a lot in the UK, but we know other parts of Europe has a lot to offer, and we have seen the success, for example, the case of the Russian animation called Masha and the Bear. Sorry if my translations may not be correct, but we know there's talent and there's good content, and we are looking for them.
Okay, but just to know the kind of, because we already know scope and scale, but it would be good to know that if a producer is approaching you with a package, they have to be prepared apart from including the standard information on the financing, the structure, the creative team, and so on. It's like, what kind of scale of a project are you looking to? So series of, I don't know, short series, 52 episodes. I understand the preschool might be a big market now. It would be good to know, just to hear some details before we move on.
Sure. I mean, we, of course, the holy grail is always 26 to 52 episodes of very well-produced animation, but that would involve, 3 to 5 million euro of production investment. So that is fine. We are looking for that size of a project. But on the other hand, if you don't really tick the box in our criteria, in other words, it's not an established series already, or your team has not yet been that established yourselves, then we're open also to short content, which is less investment required, but it's a lot tougher, I have to say, and it has to be very compelling. Sometimes if it's well established, even just characters, we also could look into developing them into stories and short series. So that would be less investment.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. This was super insightful and I'm sure very much helping. Now I would like to thank you and introduce our next speaker, Manman Chen from WeKids, which is a Chinese production and distribution powerhouse dealing mostly with animated content targeted at young audiences, working alongside partners from anywhere from the world, including domestic TV stations in Europe like YLE. You also work with content from CBeebies and partnered up with some of the European sales companies like Beta, for example. I would love to know more how you operate and what kind of content are you looking for? What would be the chance for a producer coming from the Central Eastern European region to work with a company like yourself?
Okay, hi everybody, and thank you, Katarzyna, for having me at this session, and it's an honor to be here. My name is Manman Chen. I'm from WeKids Beijing in China, and let me give you guys a really brief introduction about WeKids. Okay, WeKids has been in the kids animation business for more than 7 years, and we have partnerships with over 20 of the best global content providers and distributors, and have acquired over 120 animation titles targeting from 4 to 12, including many properties from Europe, like Lolly Rock from France TV Distribution, and Zack and Quack from Zodiac UK, and also Katarzyna just mentioned Petrol Pulse from Beta Film in Germany. And we distribute over 6,000 animation episodes to China's major broadcasters with a total of over 15 billion views. And we also run our business in toys selling, license and merchandising in Shenzhen and Hong Kong. And 2 years ago, we set up a creative studio in Suzhou and started to create kids content ourselves. We launched a kids animation incubator program called China Tales in China. And in order to lead the Chinese original content to the global animation production system. And we also cooperate with writers and artists from other countries and try to develop the Chinese concept as a globally successful property. And me, myself, I'm the COO, the Chief Creative Officer in WeKids, and my job is just what I said, animation development and overseas project cooperation. And talking about, sorry.
No, go on, please.
Okay, talking about the co-production and developing, there are several shows under development right now. And I'll take 2 simple examples. Like one is called Dream Weavers. It's a girl magic show from 6 to 9. And the concept is created by a Beijing-based studio that we found in the China Tales Incubator Season 1. And it is now co-developed by WeKids and Nirvana, one of the biggest production house in Canada. And we will show the promo early next year, probably is around Kidscreen. And the other property is called The Tang and Jojo Show. It's a preschool sports comedy. And we created the show with 2 South African writers last year. And now we are now talking to the Canadian broadcaster TVO for further development. So it's 2 examples how we cooperate with the foreign artists and foreign studios. And you may have noticed that we have many connections with Canada. And not only that, is that we set up an office in Vancouver early this year. So now WeKids is a China-Canada cooperation. One of the biggest reasons that why we choose Canada is China doesn't have many other countries with a co-production treaty, but Canada has, and a lot. So we hope to use this advantage and also the artist resources and financial support from Canada to create projects originating from China and distribute it all over the world. So this is what I've been doing.
And do you only work with serialized content, or you also do one-offs and feature films at all?
Well, now it's mainly focusing on series, but depending on different like a genre, and we accepted like a TV series and also some short, clips for the live streaming platforms.
And I would have the same question that I had to Jean. So do you ever work out with this kind of breakout production coming from smaller European production houses. Are you open to consider a collaboration and co-development of a series that would be coming from the region with not yet established IP and branding potential, to kind of take it further and develop it yourself? Because I also saw at your website, like you said, that you're doing this 360 thing now. So also working with merchandising, licensing, toy production, all that. That would be interesting if there's like an opening point for a production company coming from a region to work with you in that way.
Yeah, generally we are really open to, the countries from Europe, every side from Europe. Like we have some partnership with, you mentioned like Finland, like Belgium, like Netherlands, things like that. And we did, get financing or co-financing in some of the project, either is in completed the series or as the early development stage. We are really open to that, but it depends on, the first thing is depends on the project itself, whether it's a fit for either its Chinese market or have a global potential. The other things that at this time, I mean, by the end of this year, because of some latest regulations in China, maybe we can talk about later, we are taking to develop the Chinese original created content as priority, and then the other concept from other countries.
Obviously, that I think we can come back to it later in our general discussion. Thank you so much for the introduction and for letting us know a little bit more on the profile of your company. It would be lovely if at some point some collaborations spring up from the region. And now I would like to thank you and introduce our next speaker, Steven Ching from Agogo. Thank you so much, Malman.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you
Hi.
for having me, and thank you, Katarzyna.
Hi, Steven. Steven, you've been around for quite a while, working with different kind of animation contents, both on co-development, co-financing of European and Canadian, from what I remember, TV series mostly. You worked a lot with UK, France. Do you also work with any other European countries? And generally, tell us a little bit more on how do you normally enter a co-production, and how do you proceed from that?
I guess it's word of mouth, and I've been around, and I was constantly talking to established studio or independent small studios. As long as they have some talented people, I love to work with small studio as well. I've been working with studio from Finland and also other studio from Australia and Italy, and they are all very nice to work with. So I've been around, and I not particularly stay with the established big major studios. I like to see different type of business model from time to time. Sometimes we go a majority of investment. Sometimes we stay very small, and all depending on the property itself.
And it would be lovely to hear a little bit from you. How do you think that the kind of co-production setup changed over the last years for the kind of independent producer that you are in the context of collaboration with European content?
Usually that people on the safe side that try to sell the show before it gets made. And sometimes I do take risk, and I waited until the best time to sell it, and I don't mind the show sit for a while. For instance, shows like Behind That, we just pick it up 2 years after we finish, and we now becoming a Chinese certified show, and it's going on the television and also media platforms. So this is Italian, UK, China co-production, and this is a usual model, if you like. But we also work with a very tiny studio in Spain, and they are just a few people, but they're very talented. And we find writers from the UK, and we are, we are in a show. So, and then we are the studio, yes.
It is the fact that in Europe, a huge part of the production money is soft money. So it's public finances. Is it an obstacle in working with European partners?
Not at all. We take care of each other's self-financing, and they got their own finance. I got my own source of finance, and it worked like this. And sometimes we have to wait because the soft money sometimes doesn't go very smooth, and that's life. Then we wait for until we're all ready before we go into. Because I do not have any previously commitment to some of the television here. It can take time sometimes, from each one of us. It happened.
Great. And before we move on to our last speaker, I would like to know a little bit more about what you're currently working on. And also, same as with the others, it would be great to know if you're looking mostly for serialized content, and I understand it's mostly animation and not the live action, or do you also work on any kind of feature projects?
Very unusually, actually, that we are moving away from mass production. We try different things. We are in development of several things, but very educational, shorts. We not necessary to go for television from the beginning, but we rather work, as a short on the self-media to get it popular before we get ready for television later on. So this is what we are trying to do. But content-wise, that we infotainment, edutainment, we are now staying a course of educational STEAM system. And this is online, offline, a lot of different open opportunities that we can look for. Very unusual than what I have been doing for the last 30 years, yes. But I like to try different things.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So much. Now we have to move on to our last speaker, Sofia Yaroshu from Animun, Poland, who will introduce a brief case study on their successful project, Me, realized in co-production with the Chinese company Animix. Welcome, Sofia. Hi.
Hi, thank you, Katarzyna, for the introduction. Yes, I am here to present the case study for Me. That is one of the biggest series in our portfolio. And the song that you heard before the session started was the title song from the series. So if I could maybe have my presentation now, thank you. So maybe before I move on, because I know that we have a limited time, before I move on to the talking about the project, I would like to briefly introduce our company. If we could go to another slide, please. Yeah, so Animun has been operating in the market for the last 7 years. And we are a small team of producers and who is running several projects on different levels of advancement. And we are shifting through formats and techniques. Because of the way we operate, we are a group of producers. So we always team up with executive producers, picking them according to what's needed for the project. And this keeps us kind of with a varied portfolio and being able to work on what we are actually interested in. So lately, last year, we had this super award-winning short, Acid Rain, that was Annie Awards nominee. And right now we are finishing the big co-production on the Even Mice Belong to Heaven, that is co-produced by the Czech producer, and we have several developments that are mainly in the
and it's
TV
called
series.
by Sherrod, no? It's
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, well, if I would have to point my finger on our key expertise, I would say that these are shorts and preschool series. although we are very much interested in feature films as well, and co-productions. Okay, so we can move to another slide, please. So with the Hug Me, the story of the project began in a couple of years ago when we found the book, because the series is based on the book, and then we developed the book into the first season that was only 13 times 6 minutes. And with the ready first season that was co-produced, co-financed by the Polish Film Institute, and launched in Polish public television, in Polish private television TV Pulse in April 2017, we got selected for Annecy with one of the episodes that was playing in the TV series competition. So of course we wanted the series to grow. We wanted to find some international partners. We wanted to have the sales agent, and we were lucky to find Studio Hamburg that's been distributing the series since then. And then we went to Annecy, where we accidentally bumped upon Animex. And I have to tell you this story because it's kind of important. We had this big mascot of the Papa Bear that was, he was on the market and he was marching there. And our Chinese partners, they noticed him. And of course, they loved him from the first sight. So then we had this kind of meeting about the possibilities, and we presented a variety of the projects. But then the boss of Animex, Peter Wang, he held one postcard that had Hug Me on it, and he pointed on the bear, and he wanted the bear only. So then we kind of moved on to talking how we could collaborate on the project. If we could move on to another slide. So Animex was a perfect partner for us. They've been established in 2006, and they've been developing their own projects, but also doing service for Europe. And since we are this sort of studio that was in need of partners who would take the executive production on, it was a perfect match for us. So it was the first collaboration for them with Poland, and for us with China, as this is the Hug Me series is the first ever co-production of Poland, China in animation series for kids. Okay, can we move on to another slide? So the series, as I mentioned, is based on the book that was a best-selling book in Poland and was published in several countries abroad, including China. But it wasn't really like a big hit, but what sparked attention of the Chinese partner was the kind of universal story it brought. And the series is a character-driven series that has a lot of emotional impact. And in those 6 minutes episode, there are those little stories between Papa Bear and Teddy that are set in the forest, and they have a variety of different emotional subjects that are tackled. And of course, the language, the visual language was also very appealing for the Chinese partner. Just to show you more, maybe I'm going to roll the trailer now, please.
Are you sick?
I'm thinking.
What about, son?
Because I'd like to be big, but I don't know how.
I'll tell you later. Run!
Hug me.
I have a reason to hug you now.
Hug me.
And everything is gonna be okay.
So as I mentioned, when we went to Annecy, we had a first season ready, 13 episodes, and it was kind of very interesting project for the Chinese partner, for Animex, to take on, because we already had like this rules of the series set, and on the technical level it was also kind of worked out. So we had this kind of division. Maybe we can go to another slide, please. we had this kind of division that the whole pre-production was done in Poland. We are working very closely on the project with Pigeon Studio from Krakow, and they were our main executive producer. And then we were teaming up with the Chinese team who was doing the animation, and then compositing was done again in Poland. And thanks to that, we were able to really keep the series kind of in an equal look that it presented within the first season. So the second season was 39 episodes. So it was a big chunk of the work, and it took us around 20 months to finish. And if I were to say what was the biggest challenge of the project, I would say that from our side, it was very challenging because it was our second co-production ever, and the first ever co-production with China. So, you know, completely different market, completely different understanding of financing, of going through schedules, workflows, etc. But we are very lucky to have Animex on our side, because actually after we finished the series, we launched another 2 projects with them. Working on the very same in a very same model. Maybe we could go to another slide, please. So the market shares for 52 episodes, which were concluded by those 2 seasons, were shared that we having the Europe and rest of the world that was distributed by Studio Hamburg, and Animex is responsible for China, since they have all the contacts and they have all the connections that are needed, and we get some share from the Chinese market as well. Can we go to another slide, please? So the ongoing collaboration that I mentioned is the feature film that is currently in the production. It's based on the IP of Hagmi, and it's kind of taking the simple story of Papa Bear and Teddy into some kind of elevated level as a feature film. So the story is that after having their happy days in the forest, Papa Bear and Teddy, they hear about the existence of a lovely and incredible honeyland. So they kind of set up on this very extremely dangerous journey to find out that they were misled. And in fact, the honeyland is just a human supermarket when they can get some honey, but it's not really the land of their dreams. But through the journey, of course, they kind of understand how to understand each other better. So it's kind of, it's more on the emotional level, of course, and this is kind of how we are taking this franchise to another level. So the project is going to be really finished in the 4th quarter of 2021. And yeah, and I think I have to, I'm getting some secret messages from Katarzyna, so I have to wrap it up right now. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, we're kind of running out of time, but before we move on to the general discussion, I would love to know more about the challenges you faced in terms of different regulations, different ways of treating the financing, what you already mentioned, and also whether it was already influenced by the changes in regulation mentioned earlier coming into life in 2020, or like as for the second installment of the series. Could you please elaborate on that before we go into the general discussion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Well, for us, it was mainly like the biggest challenge was keeping the deadlines. And I felt that throughout the process, we felt that Chinese team was kind of very stressed about the deadlines we were giving them. So of course, they delivered each time, but it was very stressful on our side. And in terms of the regulations, I think that not having the whole kind of understanding of the Chinese market from our side and understanding of the Polish financing institutions from the Chinese side was kind of, we were exchanging emails, but we weren't really able to go into details how it fully worked. So
in terms of like, I don't know, recoupment waterfalls or division of shares, soft money versus equity, what was the, that was the issue.
Yeah. So, and also I think that it was also challenging in the way that in the Animex team, there was just one person who speaks English. So it's kind of, everything goes through this person. Yeah. And,
okay, so
sometimes,
it's a potential bottleneck for the decisions. Yep.
Yes, it's the kind of collaboration that we have to accept, and we are willing to accept it because we know that we can get a lot of creative input from the Chinese team, and it's kind of mutual benefit for both sides.
Oh, thank you so much, and I think we can now start a brief general discussion on the ways how to collaborate between Chinese and European co-production partners. I would like to ask our Chinese expert once again, how do you look at IP that comes from Europe or other countries? And also, like in case of Sofia, I think it's like you said that the mascot was the one that attracted the attention of your Chinese partner. Do you think that like in a situation like that, there's a potential to develop the whole line of merchandising based on the brand, and how the uniqueness versus generic look of the series was an advantage in terms of successful collaboration here?
Well, is it a question for me? I'm sorry, because
it's to our Chinese panelists. I don't know, Man, what do you think? Would the series be something that you can develop into something bigger, like toys, spin-offs, series, merchandise?
Well, take take the perpetual pulse. Sorry,
okay.
perpetual pulse, for example, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a show. The first season also, acquired by the BBC UK, and it's a preschool show. But what we see that show is that first thing, it has really unique art style. I think most of the IPs from Europe have what attract we kids is that unique art style, which is different from the Chinese creators, because in China, in the market, most of the preschool shows are more like 3D, but Europe is kind of like a base of 2D animations. They have long traditions of great artists to produce 2D feeling or the stop motion feeling the animation. So I mean the art style is the first thing, and the second thing is that I mean, most of the shows, especially for preschool show, might have a curriculum, behind the show, right? Educational content. But the concept or the properties from Europe have more emotional education curriculum. I mean, China more like what you can say like a STEAM or the things you can learn from school, right? But the emotional educational curriculum is something like in the market, in Chinese market. So it's another fact is the diversity, because in China there are more like only one race, but most of the European countries there are different people from different countries, different regions. So the diversity is really important. What you can see throughout most of the the kids content right now. So yeah, and also I think the European IP, especially the shows from like UK or France, they are more focusing on the content and the character establishment, even though it's at the early stage, I mean at the development stage. But I mean China probably in the late recent years, more like studios, when they develop a concept, they are paying more attention to the licensing and merchandising, or the potential of convert the IP, the figures, to toys. But what I can see from the European countries that they're not care that much about the license and merchandising. you care, more at the content itself and also the character establishment. Yeah,
so
this is my thought.
we could say that this kind of specific, unique look is an advantage because you're quite saturated with the 3D kind of generic looking content that is coming from all the Asian countries, and something like Hagmi is a standout, and through that it might have a better chance. And what about the changes in the regulations for production that was mentioned before, that changed in 2020 in terms of financing structure and the ways you expect the division of shares to go through? Jean, maybe you can answer, or Stephen?
I leave it to Jean.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. Well, I think it's a good question regarding regulation because China is very well regulated. As you know, we're a centralized government and they always have their agenda and policy. So quite honestly, in recent years, Chinese government is encouraging more homegrown animation. And there's less quota given to all broadcasters regarding international or imported animation. So such as Man says, a lot of animation production houses are focusing on more homegrown and Chinese stories to produce and develop. So that's a real issue for all international producers, actually.
Okay, and the usual question for this year, so the COVID resulting changes, how would you describe the shift? Is there like a real shift in the paradigm, or is it just a temporary change in your opinion? Could you tell us a little bit more about what's the real influence currently of the pandemic at the market?
Is it directed at me
maybe yes.
again? Yeah,
Maybe
sure.
yes.
Yeah, I think the one big change is that people go online a lot more. Even children are trained to learn online. So this had prompted a lot of online education companies to flourish. But again, more competition as well. So I think the two impact are mainly, firstly, content consumption has increased inevitably. And secondly, so people are viewing more stuff on TV and online. And secondly, education model or behavior had changed to be more online.
And it's like a question coming from my perspective as working quite a lot with the distributors in China over the last years. Is it the same in production than the censorship is influencing the workflow of the production? Because I know that last year and this year there were huge delays in terms of processing new content, new family entertainment content for the platforms. And it was very much blocked in terms of cash flow and the possibility to monetize the acquisitions that the distributors made. Is it the same production-wise or a little bit different?
Maybe this is a question better for Man or Stephen in terms of production side.
It would be great. Maybe Stephen, you could answer that.
We are fortunate that it hasn't come to us in a big way because we're dealing with mostly young kids shows, the content, always the story. But working with the Chinese censorship, this I think it's a rather good practice. Is you have to send, of course, the outline first, but then unfortunately, when the show is done, then you have to send for a last check on each single episode, and they do questions, and they are very strict in that. But then I was saying that we are fortunate because we come with story first. We know how important that around the world, even in China nowadays, story for young kids, they are also particularly careful about what we are going to show. So because that we have good writers and we try to avoid problems from writing the starting. So, but then they are strict. They pinpoint each particular things that you have to go back and redo. Unfortunately, yes.
Thank you so much. And since we're running out of time and we have only a few minutes left for the Q&A, maybe now we could welcome the questions from the audience. First question being, Zofia, do you plan any kind of other collaboration with China soon?
Yes, we are actually in the middle of production for another series that is 26 times 6 minutes. And yeah, it's kind of surprising because it's a kind of interesting case. It's not about animals any longer. It's called Bella in the Belly, and it's a story about a little kid that is still in her mom's belly, and the relationship that she has with her older brother. So the production is ongoing, and we are going to finish in the third quarter of this year.
Okay, and so far we have no more questions, so maybe I will just ask one last question before we wrap up and go to the coffee chat. To our Chinese panelists, what are the usual markets that you scout for content ads? Or do you work mostly through some kind of sales agents and aggregators, or do you attend MIFA, MIPCOM, Cannes, TIFF, EFM, AFM? What would be your key markets that you go to?
For me, I go for smaller markets like Latin, Eastern Europe, and also Africa, Middle East. I tend to go, into the market I've never been to, because there are always some surprise you will find. I like that.
And Man?
We have, the main markets we attend in Europe is MIPCOM, MIP Junior, MIP TV, and also MIFA in Annecy, and also Cartoon Forum within the last 3 years. Yeah.
And Eugene?
Yeah, same as Manman, all the usual big festivals and TV market. And us being based in the UK, we focus more on the UK market too. And also, lastly, I'm sure a lot of our Polish colleagues want to know where to talk to Chinese companies and where they could get in touch with potential partners. And I would say in those markets. And also, of course, Kids Kino, like where we are now, is providing a great platform. But yeah, it's really important to get exposure. So even if you don't find Chinese yourself, but at least some Chinese companies can take notice of you, such as how they notice Zofia's bear. So yeah, so be active and be out there.
Great. I think that was extremely helpful and informative, and I'm hoping that some collaborations will sprung up, or some ideas at least will result from listening to the session. Thank you so much once again for participating, and I'm giving the voice back to our hosts before we go to the coffee chat.
Thank you to all participants. Thank you, Jean, Kasia. Thank you, Manman. Thank you, Steven. Thank you for facilitating this case study here in a way. And thank you very much, Katarzyna, for being a great moderator. Yes, Kids Kino Industry, the next co-production edition of our forum will take place in Warsaw in September. So all of you feel already invited. It's a co-production pitching forum for series and features. We already know that the next edition will also be hybrid. So we last year had almost 300 participants, producers, and different parties from the industry. And we know that it will be able to participate either, hopefully, in the stationary session or online in our online dimension of the forum. Thank you for this session, but it's actually the beginning of this day at Gdynia. I wanted also to thank you to Gdynia Polish Film Festival and all partners of Gdynia Festival. Thank you, Tomek Kolankiewicz, the director, artistic director of the festival. But this is not the last position of our Kids Kino industry in Gdynia program. The next positions will be introduced to you by Kasia.
Yes, I would like to invite you for our next session, Impact, about shaping production between art house and entertainment family content at 2 p.m. on Polish Film Festival channel on YouTube. Our guest will be Leontien Petit from Lemming Films Netherlands, Moritz Heminger from RE Media International Germany, with talk with Ewa Puszczyńska, producer of Extreme Emotion Poland. Watch out for more information about our program on our website and Facebook.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you find this session useful. And for those who would like to stay a little bit longer, you can speak now with our guests in the chat for the next 30 minutes. You find the chat if you leave the full modus of your screen under the live stream window or right beside the window. The speakers will join you there in a minute, and I will see you there as well. Bye-bye, and see you hopefully for the next sessions.